Millennials are at least 10 years apart from Gen Z, if not more. The oldest millennials turned 40 this year, whereas Gen Z, by definition, is people who are born after 1990. So the oldest Gen Z is 28, and it's anywhere between 6 to 28 right now. They're fundamentally different from the millennials for one very clear reason. Gen Z is the first digital native generation that this planet Earth has seen. They were born into technology, touchscreen, interactivity, whereas millennials adopted technology. So one of the biggest differentiators, so the biggest revolution for millennials was the smartphone, which is now the first media screen for everybody. Whereas for Gen Z, technology is about making connections. It's about social, it's about interaction, it's about building a shared economy. As Gen Z takes center stage in the global economy, and it will continue to do so because today Gen Z is 32% of the world's entire population already. They are the largest cohort. We are seeing a dramatic change in the way we are using our economy, creating an economy and using our spaces as well. Look at what's happened in the last 5 years. Graffiti has become a cultural expression all over the world, whether it's Germany, whether it's India, whether it's America. The entire culture is becoming global. Hip hop is the fastest growing global culture. When media brands now look at launching their businesses, they don't look at a geography, they look at communities. On 31st October, there was a meme which was something like the Kiki challenge. It started off in the US, and in 72 hours it had spread across all the way to Asia. That's it. It just took 72 hours because Gen Z doesn't understand borders. It's almost like you and me hearing it from our grandparents that horse carts used to be the primary mode of communication. That's how bizarre it is to them. They haven't seen a world where the computer is not interactive. So that's very different as a mindset from millennials. Fragmented, and the most important aspect of media consumption in Gen Z is that it's personal for them. Everything is personalized because from the day they enter into the world of media, their first primary touch point is their mobile screen. They choose what they're looking for, whether they want to listen to their friends on social networks, how they communicate with them, and within the social networks they go around looking for sources of information that they want to engage with and then go further. Most of the media publishing houses admit that 90% to 66% on the lower side of their traffic of Gen Z is coming through social. So let me give you an example. Let's say there is let's say Latvia wins the World Cup, Soccer World Cup. There are 3 different ways of accessing this information. Gen Z will typically see it in the format of a meme put up by some social channel that they really follow, let's say Vice. Vice puts up a meme about Latvia winning the World Cup, and that's how they find out. Me, I'm older, I'm the millennial. I will actually be logging on to a news app, maybe Twitter, and actually getting news from there. And my parents or people older than me will probably get it from television or newspaper. That's the difference. So you have to understand that unlike earlier, when there was a television channel which was one-to-many, newspaper, one-to-many, Gen Z don't understand that. Why are you giving me information that is not relevant to me? This is not personalized. This other thing is that Gen Z is not in a situation where they don't have access to information. Typically, when a teacher would teach in a class 15 years ago, they would be the first one introducing a concept to the children in the class, right? Now, by the time you get to the class, the student has chosen what aspect of this they're interested in. They already know what they want to know. Now they're interested in a discussion around it. That's a fundamental difference from how we consume information now, from whereas what we used to do earlier. So the most important point to understand is no media company will be able to completely monopolize the user for themselves. It will be a fragmented experience. Today, let's take an example of any media company. You'll be on social, you'll have your own app, maybe you'll have your own mobile site, you'll be collaborating with e-commerce companies, you'll be collaborating with influencers, you'll be collaborating with OTT platforms, television companies. What is it telling you? I recognize that you don't only read news. If I'm a news company, you entertain yourself, you listen to music, you go out with friends for events, you watch TV with your family or on your own. I am an expert in a certain type of communication if I'm focused on Gen Z, or I'm an expert in a type of news or entertainment, and I will try and entertain you or inform you in whichever platform you go to. So the platform becomes a means to engage with you, unlike earlier where if I am a media company, I own the content as well as the platform. These two have got unbundled, as you would put it. There are two. The first one is building habits. The Gen Z has very sophisticated media habits because they're born into technology. If you are a new media company or you are a media company, to build a digital media habit in which they come to you regularly in a manner that you can monetize, engage, that is the most important aspect. I don't know how, of course it is difficult, but it is most important. So if I am not, and how to build it, it's really simple, which is the difficult part, is to stay authentic and true to your community. If you know that every time I go to Vice or New York Times, BBC, Wall Street Journal, depending on what kind of information you're looking for, or Spotify or Netflix, they have to remain true to you, to engage with you, so that you build a habit to keep going back to them. You see all the successful subscription and ad businesses led businesses are actually not subscription and ad led businesses, they're consumer focused businesses. And the second aspect is that media companies need to stop looking at themselves as just media content companies. They need to look at themselves as consumer orientated companies which have equal amount of investment in technology and media, and then are able to build content. Yes, 89% in a survey conducted by the Reuters Institute of Study for Journalism. This survey was across 38 countries, and it covered the Millennials, Gen Y and Gen Z. 89% of Gen Z said they would pay for content, whereas 55% was Gen Y and 24% was older.
Sorry, in which countries?
38 countries. Yes, across Europe, America and Asia. That's one of massive surveys. I'll show you the presentation as well.
So then journalism is not dying.
Content is king. Content will remain king. Just because we haven't figured out. So let me put it this way. Journalism has been there for many centuries now. It's only that advertising model dominated the way we did business for the last 25 years at max, and that has got destabilized. And I think in a way it's a good thing, because now we've become more focused on the consumer. We had become so focused on the advertiser that we had forgotten what matters to the consumer. And now we have a technology like internet where the consumer has democratized the content that they want. It's an opportunity. If I cannot understand what you want, if I cannot add value to you, then I may as well not be in business. I know it sounds a bit radical, but let me give you an example. Tinder's revenue, subscription revenue is more than that of Netflix. Why? Because it's adding value. It's giving you something you need, right? And that's actually quite telling, because it's no, put yourself in the shoes of Gen Z. You are Gen Z. I have to put myself in your shoes. And I say, I have $50 to spend or 50 euros to spend. Do I look at it as news versus entertainment? I look at it as share of wallet. And I say, do I listen to music? I'm personally, Chanpreet, very passionate about music. I have subscriptions to 2 music apps. And then I have 3 OTT platforms, but I don't have Tinder. And then I have 2 news platforms. It's the stage of life that I'm in. You don't look at it as news and entertainment and music. You look at it as, what do I need, right? So there are students who are subscribing to New York Times, who are looking to go to the US. It's because that's what matters to them. You need to know your audience, and you need to know what matters to them and deliver the value. The moment your content is very focused on your audience, they will pay. There is no question about it. I mean, if Tinder's getting paid, they're not struggling. Be loyal to your community, and then they will make it work. So, and listen to the data. The dichotomy, the fight between data and journalism is a false dichotomy. Okay, you need to understand your data to be able to understand your audience. It's critical.